levels.
The levels are just so that I know that it's recorded.
I know.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Running Wild Podcast. I'm your co-host, Rich. Alongside him, as always, the co-host, Runs.
Yes, sir.
Just before we get started, a reminder that we're brought to you in partnership with pwpartners.com, rohworld.com, and Last Word on ProWrestling.com. You can also check us out on the Wrestling to the Max network. All right, so with all that out of the way, we have a glorious week off
Glorious.
Not just of work, but also of WWE pay-per-views, giving us a little bit of space. And we're going to be running down the Evolve shows this weekend. I believe it's 78 and 79 from Joppa, Maryland, and the show that we'll be attending, the New York show over at La Boom.
Yeah, and it's great that in all of the Evolve emails or WWN emails, whatever, it's like, we'll be returning to our home in La Boom. It doesn't say that for anything else.
That's
nice.
definitely... It's kind of like, you know what? F you, PWG. We have our own stuff on the West Coast. I mean the East Coast.
I wouldn't say that because I'm still just heartbroken that it's like impossible to go to a wrestling show. But yeah. Evolve is a nice consolation.
No, 100%. And you don't have to travel. You have to go like 4 blocks. So
it's the greatest.
Nothing better than that. Although I'm not going to lie,
you bring up a good point.
The commute to Westchester is actually better than the commute to Brooklyn. So this
to Brooklyn,
so much better. All right, so Monday Night Raw, we got to see more of just
nothing.
Well, I mean, I thought the Kevin Owens promo was really good. Start to show off.
Anything involving Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, and Samoa Joe was good. Everything else was
Yeah, I mean, it's good television, whether or not it's good in terms of those pieces of garbage and the way they treat Sami Zayn. I'm really kind of tired.
Sami Zayn called them both out, for really no real reason. So I think he only has himself to blame.
What do you think about them keeping Jericho off TV this week?
I think it was an effective way to sell like the beating, but I'm not sure that was necessarily, maybe he was had a film, a recording session or something like that to do with his band, and he just wasn't going to be there this week. So, they were able to use that.
Yeah, no, I think it makes sense. It was good to kind of have that separation and focus a little bit more on Owens and Goldberg. I still think that Jericho's going to play a pretty big role in that match at Fastlane, though.
All right, it'll be interesting to see if he's off TV again next week and then, he gets the big return at the pay-per-view, or if he's just back next week and then it's whatever for the pay-per-view. But it's going to be interesting. The way that Kevin Owens has returned to being Kevin Owens in the past 2 weeks, I'm really feeling confident that he's going to beat Goldberg, and I'm praying that this is not just all a facade and he's going to lose in 12 seconds, because telling Goldberg it's going to be a long match and just the bravado that now he's exuding again, and he's the tough guy and he's just beating the shit out of people. This is Kevin Owens. It's not the, having nice and fun times with Jericho. This is who he is.
No, I think that's been really effective. I mean, I wish it was just that, I wish somebody else could kind of take the abuse.
It's perfect at Sami Zayn's expense. It is. That's what that guy does, man, and he's the best at doing it.
Listen, Statwife was like, "Why do they gotta do this to Sami Zayn? Why do they gotta pick on him?" And I was like, "See, thank you."
Oop.
Always get the kayfabe interactions from Statwife. Let me see what else happened on Raw. So the number one contenders,
Enzo and Cass. Huh?
Yeah, they're the number one contenders, so they'll be taking on. I mean, it's just amazing that you have Cass and Enzo becoming number one contenders, which is totally fine by me. I'm totally cool with it. However, then you have your tag team champions face off in a handicap match with Reigns, and they end up, winning by disqualification. I just don't like when they... It reminds me of like when... Trevor Murdoch and Lance Cade...
Well, at least they didn't lose. Like that's maybe they got left laying or whatever the case. Last week they came out on the upper hand, but at least they didn't get pinned. That's what they always do in this match. You know, they have the champion, the world champion, or the big star beat the tag team champions, which is the stupidest thing you can do. But at least they didn't lose.
Yeah. Okay. At least they didn't lose. I just hate that stuff. I don't like.
I'm with you. It was once they did it last week, I was expecting them to lose, and then they didn't, and it was whatever. I was like, oh, okay, this is good. And then they did it again this week. Why? What the hell was the point? This week of Raw was like, okay, if we have 2 weeks to go to the pay-per-view, what the hell are we going to do this week? Let's just throw some stuff out there. Maybe some stuff that happened last week, and we'll just move on.
Why do we have to have Rusev and Jinder Mahal together?
I don't know. I don't know. It makes no real sense other than, you know, they were standing together in the therapy.
I just don't. I mean, I'm not against Jinder being used, I guess, and with Rusev, it makes him a little bit more important. But at the same time,
if Jinder was any more important than if he was any type of relevant, right, before this, it would be pretty cool. But because he was never anything, it's just like, oh, why the hell is Rusev picking up this guy? Like, Jinder has a good look. He looks like he could be a superstar, you know? But I don't know. There's just something that's never connected with anyone, and you can't. Rusev is great, and it brings Rusev down a little bit.
It's literally like they're just like, hey, the Iron Sheik and Volkov worked, so
right, Nikolai Volkov, right?
I guess
don't know.
We'd be remiss if we didn't acknowledge briefly the losses, right? Speaking of Volkov, that happened this week. George Animal Steel.
Right. George Animal Steel and Ivan Koloff, right?
Yeah.
And obviously Nicole Bass. But at least, you know, Steel and Koloff were older and seemingly natural causes, you know, so
yeah.
You never want to lose anyone, but at least these guys lived pretty full lives and good lives, and, you know, I'm glad to see the, you know, appreciation for them on the WWE shows, and, you know, it is what it is. It's very sad.
Does it make you a little bit kind of tight thinking that if you just had a disgusting amount of body hair, you might be a successful professional wrestler?
If I was in the 1970s or something, yeah, maybe. I just had a green thumb.
Like, that's just... Really, I mean, dude wasn't really in wrestling shape.
No, I don't know. He wasn't having those Macho Man Steamboat type matches either, you know. So it's a possibility. Wrestling back in the day was a different breed.
As a Macho Man Mark watching those home videos, Coliseum home videos when I was younger, and WrestleMania, you know, 2 and 3, I always thought that George Animal Steel was kind of a creep. I know Macho Man wasn't maybe the nicest to Elizabeth during those times, but yeah, this guy's just a kind of a weirdo staring at her from the corner. I don't know.
You know, I think that's what they were going for a little bit.
And then, you know, Nicole Bass, I mean, I was reading, and no offense, I was reading some people saying, like, you know, we lost a legend, and I was like, well, a legend? I mean, she was part of the business, but I wouldn't say necessarily...
Well, she was what was it, like Howard Stern or whatever, so maybe that's where they're going with that.
Okay, yeah. Is that too masculine for you?
Yeah, I don't know. She had her run, and it was, you know, she looked the part for sure. That, you know, she was a scary person when I was a young kid, and so it did the job. It you know, it was fun at the time, and it's, again, you know, it's always sad when people don't make it, you know.
100%. All right, let's move on to more awful Monday Night Raw. Not completely awful, but
it wasn't bad. It was just uneventful and kind of just trudging along, you know.
Yeah, I did like the Strowman Big Show match, though. I thought that was really well done.
Right.
I think
the things that the main points that they focused on were pretty well done, but it was just kind of like just another show. But I love them being the main event. I thought that was really cool. Big Show, I don't think has ever been in this good of shape.
No,
and it's fun to see him back and have these matches and used as an attraction and as the Big Show. And it's, they're building up Braun Strowman in the right way. And this is everything that I've asked for the past 2 years when I've been petitioning for this guy. I'm really enjoying what they're doing with him. How does, now my question, how does Reigns beat him at the pay-per-view?
I mean, it's got to happen, right? Like, he has
Is it going to be like a DQ? Is he going to, like, spear him through the barricade and Strowman just doesn't beat the count? Like, something like that, maybe, but I don't know. Like, Strowman should be the one fighting The Undertaker, not, it should be the opposite.
Maybe Undertaker comes out and, like, distracts Reigns.
And helps Braun Strowman win?
Well, it's not that he's helping Braun Strowman, it's that he's reminding Roman, like, hey, you motherfucker, this is what you did to me.
Right. I don't know.
Because I still don't think you can have Strowman lose cleanly. It just, even to Reigns, I don't think it. This is the kind of guy that ends up being a title contender, not. And it's tough now that Kevin Owens also a heel. I mean, Braun Strowman's not really a heel, but it's. He's in that middle territory, where he's just... It depends on who he beats on, kind of. Because when he beats on Zayn, he's a heel. But when he's beating on somebody else, he's not.
I think that goes for a lot of the roster right now, is week to week, they're kind of just in the middle. And it's, Enzo and Cass and Sheamus and Cesaro, Strowman, Reigns, AJ, even Cena to an extent. It's just whoever they're with, that's what role they're playing, and I don't necessarily mind that, but you have your white meat baby faces, and you have your despicable heels, and then you have kind of a pool of people in the middle, and hopefully they fall one way or the other out of that, and we move on. But that's always the trick. But I'm not disliking what's been going on and how that's been playing out.
No, I'm actually enjoying watching it. What do you think they do? So now this is a little weird because, I've kind of been in a place or watched a ring be put together. And we watched the match where they took the ring apart at Evolve. Mm-hmm. So, you have the basic metal frame, and then you have the boards on top, and then you have kind of like a softer mat rolled on top of it. Like a padding, and then they kind of have that canvas that they then affix to the metal frame. How exactly, I want to know, do you reinforce the ring for these two guys?
More boards and
like a second layer of boards?
Like more support, more boards.
All right.
Something like that.
It's just one of those things that, like, after watching the ring get taken down, you're like, how do you provide more support?
At first, when they kept saying it and then they were on the top rope, I was like, holy shit, they're going to do the suplex spot. But Braun can't be the one to get, obliterated from that. It's got to be the other way. And then they just didn't do it anyway. But, like you said, I really enjoyed that match. I thought it was very well done and definitely helped Braun. It's bringing Big Show back to a higher level by just using him like this. And it's a good job all around.
What did you think, lastly, of the... Well, there's two kind of bits. One, what did you think of the Brock Lesnar promo? With him just staring at the camera and Heyman in the background.
Yeah, I thought it was good. It was effective. It was a nice kind of surprise because they didn't announce it really. They didn't advertise anything that Brock was going to be on the show. It was just there, and it was like, oh, okay, this is cool. This is another way to kill some time on this meaningless show, but, it is what it is.
I think that's such a memeable picture of Lesnar right there with Heyman just like on his shoulder. Like, you can meme somebody on the other shoulder. Like, there's so many things you can do. It's just so amazing. And then lastly, the New Day got announced. It came out that they're going to be the hosts of WrestleMania.
And I love the way that they tried to sell this on Raw. Like, oh, what an honor to be named. What? Since when? Like, because The Rock and Hulk Hogan have done it. Yeah, I guess you could sell it that way, but you can also sell it as we have nothing better for these guys to do at WrestleMania, so we're going to have them just mess around and talk and come out and do stuff. Which, hey, it'll be great. They can do a whole bunch of New Day stuff. It'll be awesome. But you just want to see these guys have a match, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be hilarious, and hopefully they don't have to have some sort of flamethrower.
Right. Maybe they have some impromptu match like The Rock, you know, where they just get into it with someone and they go from there. But, you know, it'll be good.
The Hardys.
Box of Bootios. Oh, man, the Hardys, that'll be nuts. They can do so much. So it'll be good. It's good for them. It is a cool thing to say, you know, these guys hosted WrestleMania, but these are your longest reigning tag team champions, and it just happened this year, and they're not on the show.
Could you imagine Axe or Smash hosting WrestleMania?
I don't think there's like any other real tag team that could host WrestleMania. What other tag, you know, Enzo and Cass, but like they're not name enough.
Listen. I could not take 4 hours of Enzo coming out. I like the guy and I think he's funny, but 4 hours?
Right. But have you also noticed that his stuff is getting cornier, to me at least.
Yeah.
It's not as entertaining or as clever, and the crowd isn't reacting to it as much. So maybe a little heel turn, maybe something with them is due, but I don't know. It's an interesting thing to watch.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like they're going to stay together, at least for the foreseeable future, but it just feels like maybe at some point they need to be separate. Like they're destined to not really stay together forever. Cause I don't know, it's just getting a little formulaic.
Enzo and Cass are not. Yeah, they are not destined to be together forever. They will both be good singles wrestlers. They will both be perfect in their roles, and at some point, it's necessary.
All right, so that was Raw. So we can move on to SmackDown. Now, I hadn't heard anything about Naomi's injury kind of outside of the show. But, so she comes out and she's injured, saying that, you know, she has to give up the title and she's really upset about it. By the way, I just want you to know, so we got back from trivia last night and Statway fell asleep early and I went to go watch some of the event. And I just went to the results for a second just to see what I should really watch. So I was like reading a review, cheap plug over on Last Word on ProWrestling.com, and I tell her that Naomi had to give up the title. We don't watch the skit. She starts...
The skit?
You know, we don't watch the segment where she gives up the title. Just telling her... she broke down in tears. It was just one of the most amazing things I've ever seen.
And like you said, you haven't read anything. I don't think I've, maybe I missed it, maybe I brushed past it, I don't know. But I haven't seen anything where she's in Alabama and she's getting examined by the doctors and all this kind of thing. So I'm not sure how hurt she is or how non-storyline this injury is. But, like Daniel Bryan had to force her to give up the title, which was kind of like, oh man, this is bad. And he mentioned no one wants to do this, any less than I do. And it wasn't like as emotional as you felt it would have been if it was a real thing, so I don't know. It came across well enough, but not believable enough, I guess, for me.
Yeah, I wonder how injured she is. Would she be back in time for Mania? And then,
if they did this whole Orlando, I'm coming home, and then if she's really hurt or not really hurt, and loses the belt, it's just like, come on. But it seemed like they're going with some Becky Mickey stuff still, so I don't know necessarily if Alexa fits into that match, and so she still needs a challenger. And we saw Nikki Maurice again on SmackDown. We saw The Miz and Cena on SmackDown. So that's locked in. You know, you got that, and we got to see what happens everywhere else.
What did you think of the Natalya Nikki Falls Count Anywhere match?
I thought it was good. I half watched it. You know, I wasn't fully paying attention to SmackDown, but it was a good match. I enjoyed them fighting everywhere. I thought it was cool, and then getting pushed into Maurice and Maurice coming out with the pipe and The Miz having to pull her off. It was perfect. It was well done.
Yeah, they're really, that's going to happen, huh? That mixed tag match is gonna go down.
I honestly can't say that I'm mad. Like I'm kind of looking forward to it. It's a WrestleMania it's a WrestleMania match. You know what I mean? That's where they do that sort of a thing. So hey, maybe it'll be good.
When's the last time they've had an intergender match? Is it WrestleMania 10 with Bam Bam and Luna? And that wasn't really intergender because that was versus Doink and Dink. So I'm trying to. I don't think they've had an intergender match technically since 6.
Yes. Right. Yeah. Savage and Sherry. Right. Dusty and Sapphire.
Wait. Who did? I'm sorry. Actually, I'm wrong. Who did the girl from the Jersey show, the Jersey Shore show? What's her name?
Snooki.
Yeah, she teamed up. There wasn't like a 6-man or 6-person intergender.
Was it intergender? I don't know if it was intergender or if it was just. Well, I don't know. Please look that up. I forgot. I forgot that Snooki wrestled at WrestleMania.
It was a WrestleMania 26. It was a 6-person match. 6-person. So.
Was that 26 or was that the one we were at?
Wait, 27. Sorry.
Okay.
Ooh. I'm accidentally playing it right now. But yeah, no, she definitely.
Snooki? Is that like Maria Menounos? No, right? That wasn't that one either.
That's right, Maria Menounos. I think it was also her and like Morrison. Hold on, I'm gonna.
Okay. Yep.
Am I right?
Definitely Morrison.
Okay, so Snooki. Okay, here it goes. Snooki, Trish Stratus, and Morrison.
There you go.
Were a team, and they took on. Dolph Ziggler
and Lakel?
Yep.
Yes.
Nice job. All right, so yeah, I mean, it's a WrestleMania thing. You know, it is what it is. I don't mind it. I mean, it's obviously like Total Bellas and Total Divas stuff, but no, because they've done it on WWE TV. Like that's been the crux of it. You know, it's Nikki bumping into her the pay-per-view, and then her getting bumped into her again, and then Maurice finally retaliating, and Cena eliminating Miz both times, and Miz coming back. They've done a good job of building up that beef there, and whether it plays out also on Total Divas, Bellas, whatever the case too, that's fine. It's to it. But I like the what they've done with it on WWE TV. I'm gonna actually, I think, as a treat for our listeners, I might record my wife during the final moments of that match.
Which very well could be Nikki Bella's last match.
Oh my goodness. It is going to be
amazing. That will be the ultimate Nikki Bella's last match going out with John Cena. It will be the ultimate trip to Splish Splash for Stat Wife.
I'm actually considering, just to make it more emotional for her, just getting a full John Cena outfit and just coming into the room wearing it for that match, just to see her reaction.
Okay, here you go. So they win the match at WrestleMania, right? And she celebrates on the top rope, and she turns around, comes off the rope, and boom, Cena's down on one knee.
Oh.
Nikki, this is your last match. I know you have to retire, but now I'm ready to put a baby in it. Will you be my wife? Done. That would be it.
Would that be? That would be. First of all, I just want you to know I'm a terrible human because
Man in Heaven too.
The first thing I thought was that you were going to say that he was going to give her an attitude adjustment and walk away. I was like, that's the Cena heel turn we've been waiting for.
Nikki, I never loved you. Boom. I've been cheating on you with Natty this whole time. Attitude adjustment.
But if he really proposes to her after they win, I don't know what that wife would do. I think she would have been upset that I didn't. Then she'll kind of, go back on the fact that I didn't.
Type of way.
I didn't
do that FSW.
I should have done it, man.
Yeah,
all right.
That battle royal. Raise the guy's hand, kick him with a stunner, invites that wife in the ring.
Missed opportunities.
Yep.
And then you have the battle royal, which I don't know. I mean. Has it been done to death?
Point to even.
Has it been done to death? This whole two guys at the same, it's so unlikely.
Right. There's no point. There's no point to even discuss this because we still didn't get a winner. We still don't know what's going to happen. Is Orton really just going to give up this match? Something has to happen. It's filler.
And Mojo Rawley, how did he get in this match?
Right. We need a 10th guy who's not around. Okay, I guess it's got to be Mojo. Damn it.
I mean, good for him, right? But
right, but right off the bat, Kalisto, Mojo, Apollo Crews, you're not winning. Just jump over the top rope.
Save us some time.
Right, save the other guys the energy here. You're not winning this. And I'm glad that it came down to the big guys, and it came down to the right people that it should, and I, as much as I dislike the finish, I like the finish. Okay, yeah, we get a double over the top, and now Harper and AJ got to battle it out. Yeah, okay, that's fine, but it makes it meaningless.
But you could have done something like, do you remember? Okay, when Shawn Michaels
could have just had them fight in the first place.
Well, no, but when Shawn Michaels left, right, when he had to go find a smile or whatever, and he dropped the IC title, they had the Battle Royal on Raw. And they said that the last two guys would wrestle the next week to figure out who the number one contender was. And it ended up being the Model and Razor Ramon, and then they fought the next week. You could have done that.
You could have done that, but I feel like that confuses people, and then it comes down to two, and you're like, okay, this match is over, and now these two guys stop fighting, and then it's just like, what the hell? So I feel like that. I'd rather you do like 2 6-man battle royals and just have 2 winners fight or something like that. But But
then again, if you do the 6-man
people
battle,
who are under the age of 15, 16 haven't seen this really.
I'm trying to think. Is the Rock Big Show the last time we saw it?
Rock Big Show did like Orton Cena or Cena Batista.
Oh,
so maybe like 12 years.
Okay. All right, fair. So I guess it's part of me just watching this shit too much.
Right. We have seen it too many times. But the fans that they're targeting maybe have not.
Man, so just imagine the idea that when Alicia Fox turned on Cedric, like a kid didn't see that coming. Like, what? Why would she do that?
Say correct. Alicia Fox.
It really sounds like he's saying fucks. I don't give 2 fucks about that.
I don't even. Yeah.
Nobody does.
No, I stopped caring about the cruiserweights. It's pretty bad. I enjoy Austin Aries. I enjoy Neville. I like seeing like Tozawa and Gulak and all those guys, but they just haven't done anything.
I mean. So I told you we got home late last night. So I put on the network and I put on the cruiserweights. And Stat Wife was just like, "Why is this on right now?" No, I don't understand. And I had to explain. Like, it airs at 10 on the network. I guess she was just confused because I've been using the Apple TV and watching SmackDown on that connected to my iPad from the cable company, whatever. Mm-hmm. And she was like, I thought wrestling's over. Like it's like, this isn't fair. Wrestling's over for the night. God damn it!
Then you should have put on Talking Smack after.
Oh, I didn't put it on this week because I don't think anything can top Hogsworth.
This.
I can't. Nothing can top Hogsworth. Like that Maybe I should have just put that episode on and made believe it was the same, like that night's episode. All right.
It was whatever.
So
yeah, but this week of WWE TV, nothing really important happened. We got some decent building blocks to the rest of the road to WrestleMania, but you need those kind of weeks, so it is what it is.
All right, so I guess the big stuff for us really this week is the set of Evolve shows 78 and 79. So you
let's talk about those. All right, we'll see you guys next week.
I'm so excited for this. The only thing that would make me more excited about this event is if somehow we were still off the following Monday.
That's the only downside of this, is that it wasn't last Saturday, but I won't complain.
Yeah. I just want to call Gabe up and say, hey, Gabe, listen, could you schedule these around teacher breaks? Because I think it would be a little bit more effective.
Dear Utes, please have your show.
Man, that dear... So, all right. I want to be clear. We've mentioned the Dear Ukes a couple of times on the show. It all stems from this idea that I would be angry about something that the company Ukes did in the wrestling game.
And you wanted to write an angry email.
Yes. And it grew into this idea that I would write an angry email to them complaining about the changes they've made, which made it easier for other people to beat me. And, it's... What is this, 10 years now, I feel? Like, it's just...
Yeah, at least.
Everyone who knows about that, whenever they go to complain about something, start with... It doesn't even have to be Ukes or a video game. It's just like, Dear Ukes.
Nope. Anytime you get angry, pretty much.
Terrible. I really hope that none of my students are listening to this, and next time I get angry in class, they're like, yeah, Mr. Laconi, I know we're going to do our work. Dear Ukes. Anyway, with all that nonsense, so there are a couple of first-time matches, or a number of them, the whole night. We have Darby Allin versus Austin Theory. Theory's been pretty good wrestling over for Style Battle and FIP. So it'll be interesting to see how they kind of match up here, because Allen's been more of a heel over there, and he's a beloved face, especially in Laboom.
Well, yeah, at least this will be in Ybor City.
I'm sorry, yeah. This is Joppa, Maryland.
Yeah, Joppa.
Then you have Dickinson and Jaka. Remember his catch point?
I'm sorry, I just wanted to say, based on what you said about like the FIP and Style Battle stuff, I think Gabe is doing a good job of picking the right guys to bring over. Austin Theory and Anthony Henry have definitely been, whether we're personal fans of them or not. I like Anthony Henry more than I do Theory, but Theory's also 19, and I get why you would want to bring him into the fold. So I think they're doing a good job of not just bringing everyone, but cherry picking. Okay, this guy impressed me, and using that.
Yeah, it's just... I find it
That's kind of what it's for, right?
I find it interesting and odd, though, just the way you have, under the same banner, right, you have Allen playing...
Yeah, 3 companies ran by the same person.
Because imagine... But it's one thing is that it seems that in FIP, and he hasn't been in Style Battle yet, but he would be the heel there, too. And then he's completely the opposite in Evolve, and I understand that not everybody watches all 3... But
right, that's the thing, because like even on Style Battle, like AR Fox and Sami Callihan aren't Uncle John's friends and necessarily doing all of that, So it's a little separate, but not completely, and it is interesting to watch that kind of dynamic.
Yeah, it's cool to see how he can kind of flip the switch and go from lovable guy to douchebag.
But that like you said, Allen Theory should be very interesting. This whole night should be really interesting to see as we go through.
So we got Dickinson and Jaka versus the Gatekeepers.
Well, that will not be interesting.
Here's my thing, though. They need to have names. You don't think so?
Gate and Keeper.
It bothers me that they don't have...
That's what when I see them, I'm just going to cheer for Gate and Keeper.
I mean, we even had Ethan Page on the show.
Come on, Gate. Go, Keeper.
And we asked him, what are their names? And he goes, it doesn't matter. They're just my gatekeepers.
Right. So if he doesn't care what their names are, then why should I? I think that's perfect.
Okay, well, before we go, so I think Allen goes over on theory. I think that Jaka and Dickinson end up beating the Gatekeepers.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have Ethan Page with the Gatekeepers versus Jason Kincaid. Kincaid just recently, during Michael Elgin's Glory Pro first show, they crowned a champion, and Kincaid's the first champion there. And actually, I was reading an interesting thing recently where he was talking about like his ROH tryout. It's like a five-part article that he actually wrote himself. He's kind of about like building up to going there and stuff like that. So
it's interesting to see, like a guy like Kincaid. Is it better for him to go to a Ring of Honor and just be a part of that roster, or is it better for him to be the champion of Glory Pro and to do the PWGs and the Evolves and all of that kind of circuit? I guess with ROH you also possibly get Japan, and that's enticing. But it's interesting.
It's just one of those things also where what happens when you get injured. When you're really freelancing, right? And then because he does some crazy things in that ring,
What happens if you get injured in Ring of Honor?
I'm sure they still pay you.
It's not.
You're signed for a contract. You're getting a certain amount.
Like WWE doesn't pay you. Like I don't know. It's.
Well, you're right.
Wrestling and independent contractor stuff and insurance, like that's part of the big thing,
So, I'm interested. I don't know. I mean, I feel like Paige goes over with help from the Gatekeepers.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't even think he needs help from the Gatekeepers here.
Just his spinning Dwayne.
Kincaid is, or the package pile driver or something. Paige is he's on the rocket right now, and I think hopefully the main event the next night will help set up Paige to contend for that title even more, and we'll get to that.
Riddle versus Henry. We talked about Henry before. I don't see Riddle losing here, but I see a strong effort from Henry, making him look like he belongs there.
Right. This is the evolve test for Henry. Can he evolve or die?
Then you have Tracy Williams versus ACH.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun match. They had a really good documentary. And, I think it just bears saying, and maybe I'm just being ridiculous because I like playing with my new toys, but, I've always been watching the mini docs that Kenny Johnson puts out for Evolve. Watching them on a TV is so much nicer than just watching them on your computer screen.
Right. Even watching them on the phone, the computer screen, the tablet, wherever you're watching it, they're amazing. And everyone who's a fan of any of these guys or Evolve in general, or even if you just like learning about people or whatever, watch these things. They're awesomely done. They're well done. They're really fun. They're really entertaining, and you learn about these guys. You see what they're about a little bit. You get into their head about this match and this match, because it doesn't necessarily follow them just one day. It gives you a little background, and it's good.
Oh, I totally enjoy them, man. I would say this is a weird one. I feel like ACH, am I right? Has he won? And now with this documentary, I feel like this is a spot for him to go over.
I think he won, and I think he won once, but I think you're right about that. This is a good time for him to get a win on Tracy Williams, and then maybe a show or two later he comes back with a tag partner or something like that.
And then got 3 more matches. You got Galloway versus Cobb.
That's a real good one.
Yeah, man.
Very interested to see that one.
I've really learned to really love Galloway's character, and it's weird. This is a match where win or lose, he's, as long as he puts on a good showing, I don't think it really matters. But I think that's a gain a little steam, because he also just got Galloway. He got announced as being part of the WWN Live Championship match that'll take place over WrestleMania weekend, where I guess different people from the WWN banner, under the WWN banner, have been recommended, and Galloway was one of the first guys who's being put in a 6-man match that's going to determine the WWN champion. So he is so obnoxious, and they haven't announced the other guys yet, but him winning the WWN title and then going around to all of the different, companies under that banner and being obnoxious with it, and talking. I'm trying to save Evolve, and I had to start by going and getting the WWN title. I think that would be effective. So I see him beating Cobb here.
I definitely see him beating Cobb, and because he's going to face Riddle the next night. And speaking of Riddle, I think he will be the guy who wins the WWN title first. The first one. He'll be the poster boy for the whole company and all of that. And I think that's the way that they go with this. But the psychology and the storyline perspective of the babyface is good as the challenger and that sort of a thing is in play, and you can always go that way where someone cheats to win or blah blah blah. But I think you end WrestleMania weekend with your biggest star on the biggest stage holding the brand new title for your entire organization of all these companies.
Runs his book in the territory. Smart. That's actually better.
Plus because then you send him out everywhere.
Yeah,
and then it's Riddle everywhere.
No, that's
and you have Galloway challenging and Dustin and all of those guys.
Actually, it's weird. Now that you just brought up his name, I don't see. He's definitely not on the first night, Dustin. And I've actually liked his work recently.
I don't see him on the second night either, and that's interesting.
Weird. All right, we have Zack Sabre Jr. versus Keith Lee. It's going to be a big contrast of styles here. I'm excited to see this match.
That's another really good one.
Yeah, I mean, Keith Lee is really good. That match with Hero where the ring broke was excellent. They were able to adapt, but I don't want to sound fresh, but I want to see him in a match in Evolve, a big match like this where the ring doesn't break. I just want to see, what happens when they don't get all these roadblocks thrown in their way.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel it's weird, but because Sabre Jr. is challenging the next night,
right?
I feel like he's got to go over on Lee.
Right, unless Thatcher distracts him or Paige or something like that. But yeah, I agree that Sabre gets the win. This can be another amazing showing for Lee and show what he can do with a guy like Sabre in the ring instead of the hero type. So it'll be interesting.
And then you got big, like Evolve's Bruno Sammartino over here, Timothy Thatcher closing on 600 days, and he's defending against Fred Yehi. I think it's going to be a great match. I don't see Yehi taking the title.
No, and I just want to point out that on the last Evolve email that actually had the cards, it said Timothy Thatcher versus Zack Sabre Jr. for the world title, and then at the bottom it still said Thatcher Yehi winner in this match. So I was like, oh well, yeah, clearly Thatcher is winning. It doesn't make sense for Yehi to get this win. It'll be an interesting showing for Yehi to get a title match, and we'll see what happens. I'm sure it'll be a good physical match, but I don't see any way that Yehi gets the win here. Thatcher's going to get the win and move on to face Sabre tomorrow night at La Boom.
Yeah, and then we start off there. So it says the loser of Thatcher Yehi versus
Dickinson. So by our logic, it would be Yehi.
Yeah, Yehi versus Dickinson versus Theory versus Henry. I think this is where you have Yehi win.
I think he very well could, but I also think this is a chance to give Henry or Theory or even Dickinson, if you want, a win, and they don't have to pin the AI or whatever the case there. But this will be fun. I like these 4 ways. It'll be fast and it'll be interesting. Dickinson is the power guy. Everyone else is kind of the flyers of the fast pace. So it'll be a good match.
Then we have Jeff Cobb versus Jaka. I think this will be a good pairing of styles here. They're kind of both pretty big, strong guys. So I think that's going to be a good match. But I think Cobb walks away the winner.
Right, and it'll be, like you said, it'll be interesting because Jaka kind of is that bully to the smaller guys, and now Jeff Cobb is not a smaller guy, so that'll be fun. I've really enjoyed seeing Cobb in person, and just seeing him on the PWGs or whatever the case. I've really grown to become a fan of his work, and the fact that you don't see him behind the mask and with Matanza, so you get to see his personality, you get to see how he's selling and that sort of thing. So that it's funny because you don't really think about it, but you really connect with the guy a lot more when he's not under the mask, And yes, that sounds obvious, but you don't always think about it that way.
No, I agree. I know he's got. I really like his upside, and I enjoyed. I'm glad he's been over here with Evolve.
Yeah.
I think sleeper match of the night, or just crazy match of the night, ACH versus Jason Kincaid. These two guys are so athletic. I think they're going to put on just a ridiculous show.
Yeah, that's really going to be good. Just two fast-paced high flyers. It'll be really good to see.
I kind of see Kincaid walking away, depending on what happens with ACH the night before, as the winner.
Yeah.
But it's a toss-up.
Maybe Williams beats ACH, and now ACH beats Kincaid, because Williams is going to lose the next match we're going to talk about. So
yeah, Williams versus Lee. I agree there. I think Lee comes out. Williams for
just before you get into your thoughts, if we have that happen, then everyone that we just mentioned will be 1-1 for the weekend, and that's what Evolve does. So
yeah, I mean, it's don't bury anybody else. Make sure that everybody looks like they're a contender.
Right. I mean, it is the smart move, and when, like we said, when people go 2-0 or 0-2, it means something. So yeah, go ahead now. On to the specific match.
Williams versus Lee. Williams is incredible because I'd say he has a slight build. I mean, he's tall, but he's not that thick, that Chris Hero build. But they had some crazy, crazy elbows and just stiff shots, and I kind of see the same thing from him and Lee the next night. It's gonna be a brutal match, I think.
Right, Williams isn't the same mold of Hero in terms of build, but he's the same type of mold in terms of physicality and strikes and that sort of thing in the ring. So it'll be good. I've enjoyed Williams. He's a little, the black trunks, black boots, just kind of a little bland, but that's kind of what he is. He's the mechanic. He's the worker. He has that heart, and that's the last couple of months with the split from Catch Point, and then now he's in charge of it and all that. It's added a layer to his character.
Do you think he goes over here, or do you think Lee wins?
No, Lee wins, and then everyone is 1-1.
Then you have Paige versus Darby Allin with the Gatekeepers. I don't see how Paige loses.
No, I might disagree with you and just say Darby picks up the roll-up and gets obliterated after the match, but
okay. I can see that. This
is going to be so much fun because people hate Ethan Page, and everyone in La Boom loves Darby Allin, and it's going to be so much fun to cheer for Darby and root against Page with the entire La Boom crowd, and it'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, that guy last time who held Cody for Page, and then Page gave him the middle finger, and he ripped the Page shirt off, was just amazing. Yeah, he's been a really effective heel there.
Oh, he's been brilliant since the attack on Gargano on his last night. He's found his role here, and it's great.
The only thing I don't like about him being heel is his music change. Because I just personally loved his heel. I mean, his face. All ego song. I can listen to that thing on loop forever. And
I don't know if it was on with you or if it was on the YouTube channel or whatever.
Yeah, it was on
where
here.
He talked about after the match when I'll celebrate and be hyped, then I'll play that one. But before, it's serious.
It's those little things and the attention to detail of character that I think is really important.
Yeah, you don't need people singing your theme song when you're a heel and you're trying to be an asshole. So
yeah,
it makes sense,
It just means I have to listen to it more times in the car on the way to the show. Because if you think I don't listen to theme songs on the way to the show, you're crazy. All right, the next match: Drew Galloway versus Matt Riddle. I can't wait.
Matt Riddle,
It's
you're gonna pay for what you did. to me, Drew Galloway.
I hope he cuts a super long promo about trying to save Evolve again. I love listening to that guy talk.
Forget the promo. Forget about hearing that guy's voice. This match, woohoo! Man, it's going to be fun.
I can't call a winner here.
Riddle gets the win. I'll just say that.
Yeah, but at the same time, Galloway hasn't been... Because he was injured and things like that, so...
Right, but this is the match that was supposed to happen 2 months ago.
Okay.
So I don't know necessarily that we pick up somewhere new or if we're picking up kind of where we left off, and this is where Riddle gets his... And
at the same time...
move on a little bit from this.
If we're following your thought process about the idea that Riddle becomes the first WWE champion, having Galloway beat Riddle here and being able to go, I beat you at Evolve, and now
I beat you, Matt Riddle,
and now I'm going to beat you.
You are not the WWN champion.
And so,
I Drew Galloway.
Exactly. Something's going to. I'm not going to call a winner here because I just want to watch it. I
believe you just did, but it's all right.
What? Well,
it
did. Okay, I'm going to go Galloway.
You're leaning on the Scottish bandwagon.
Okay, I'm going to go Galloway. I'm going to go Galloway. So that
you know my answer, bro.
You can rub it in my face that night, and then if Thatch is still champion, he defends against Zack Sabre Jr.
Now this is another one where it is going to be one of the most fun atmospheres that I think I will ever be a part of, and maybe I'm setting myself up for a disaster here, but nobody likes Thatcher, right? So people are going to be rooting against him with such a passion, and people love Zack Sabre Jr., and this is going to be an amazing crowd environment. And if Zack Sabre wins, man. Whew.
Did you see the so at PWG, Zack Sabre Jr.
Whoa.
Oh, you haven't? Okay, I'm not going to talk about it then. All right. Because Stokely's tweets have been just incredible about Zack Sabre Jr. So, but anyway, if you guys don't mind being spoiled, go check out Stokely's tweets about the upcoming match because it kind of hilarious stuff.
Because your co-host does everything he can to not see the results of PWG shows.
That's completely fine, and I won't bring it up.
Immediately, I ordered the DVD like 2 days after the show. Okay, I know it's not going to get here for another month and a half, but I got to just feel comfortable that I got it. It's coming.
And you were really good because I was about to just completely ruin the whole thing for you. So smart move.
As soon as you said Zack Sabre, I was just like, well, there's only one way he's going with this.
Good move. All right, so those shows. I mean, if you're not lucky enough to be around one of these places and be able to go to the shows, catch them on FlowSlam. I think these are going to be really excellent. To me, almost, and maybe I'm a little partial, but I think better than the San Antonio shows in some way. Because I like when they operate. I like when they operate without having the, the backdrop of the fact that it's like a WWE weekend.
Yeah, and the unknown of people don't when they go into these San Antonios or these different markets. It's more risky. Yes, there are some more diehard fans, and the crowds in for the Royal Rumble weekend were good. I was happy with them. It was actually people who knew the product, knew the guys, and so that was good. But you risk that sometimes going into these unknown places, and I think we saw that a little bit in Ybor City the first couple of times, and now it's picked up a little bit. So hey, that's what you want to see. You're going out there and you're not losing crowds when you go to these new areas. You're gaining fans every time you go. So that's where you want to be. And, we obviously take a little extra pride in Evolve because it's somewhat of a home promotion for us. We got there not necessarily on the ground floor, but we caught the elevator on the way up. So now that it's blowing up a little bit, and we're getting the Elgins and the Cobbs and all the Codys and all these guys coming around, it's pretty freaking cool.
100% agreed, man.
Well, yeah, I guess I say all that to say, check out these shows on Flow Slam. Check out these shows wherever you can, however you can. Go to them when they're in your area, or you're going to Mania, whatever the case. It's worth it.
You're not going to get any disagreement out of me there. All right, let me try to think. Ring of Honor, finally this week, you did get to see the Decade of Excellence tournament finals. I mean, we've talked about them over a month. It's just I always find the fourth show to be slightly out of a set of tapings, a little bit anticlimactic sometimes. Especially when the news comes out so much earlier. I was there. I thought that the crowd came off really good at the beginning of the match. Because it was by the time these matches come around, the last match of the taping, it's tiring for the audience. You've been there for 4.5 hours. So
I've been there for, yeah.
And I get there a little early, so it's just a lot. But the rest of the episode, I didn't really care for. I mean, you had Cole Cabana taking on the boys in a handicap match, and he just kind of like walloped them, and setting up him and Castle in another grudge match. At Manhattan
in the same arena.
It's so weird. I don't know. I think something needs to be added to it, but they still have a couple weeks of TV, so maybe they can do something with that.
It's weird, but I'm when I saw it, I was like, oh, again? But I wasn't mad. I was just kind of like, oh, okay, that's fine. I like both of these guys. It was a fun match, and this time it's for TV, so who knows, what kind of weird stuff gets to it. Or
the only thing I felt like could have... If this was the plan all along, then I think you could have had Cabana win by hook or crook at Final Battle, and then their issues continue because of that,
Yeah, and then you have Castle get the win here to set up his title match.
That would be the smart money. And then they also announced, and this is a spoiler, so I'm also Ring of Honor released the article and said it's a spoiler. But, we talked about it, that Kazarian's part of the Bullet Club. Interestingly enough, they're not going to have and I know this is the thing that bothers you when it comes to announcements for matches, because they don't do it the same way that Evolve does. But they said that the announced match for Supercard of Honor is Daniels versus Kazarian. That's signed, but...
They could always add the title.
Yeah, but then what happens with Castle? I don't know. Because, you have Castle and Cole announced, so now...
Oh, right, for the same show, right?
For the title, yeah. So now...
Right. And this is Castle's shot from forever ago.
Yeah, so...
Okay.
I don't...
There you go.
Smarter...
They do it to themselves.
For me, smarter money is you make Daniels Kazarian for Manhattan Mayhem a week before the Vegas show.
I don't think they see Manhattan Mayhem as that big of a show, but I'm with you.
Just so you don't announce Daniels Kazarian for Supercard. And I get that the card is subject to change, ladies and gentlemen. I understand that. But I just don't like the way you put it out there like that. Because now, what's the full...
Card is subject to change, right? But how often does it actually change when there's not an injury or something of that nature? So... I think people also overrate that phrase, and but they can still change things. But no, that's just there in case somebody gets hurt, or in case somebody gets suspended, or can't make it, or whatever the case.
So we'll see what happens. I mean, they still have some weeks. And the other match on the night was Silas versus Bull James, which I just didn't particularly care for that much. For me, the biggest news out of that match was that. Or it's coming up, the Beer City Bruiser has his own beer, finally, labels on the cans, which it's just been a white piece of paper that says beer, so I kind of like that idea that he's got his own brewery making beers for him. But I don't think James is there enough for any real stuff.
Yes, there's that. And, sometimes there are guys that I don't care about when they're in WWE or NXT or whatever the case. So I'm not going to care about them more when they're in less important feuds and matches. And you know what I mean? Like, I I don't care about Bull James, and it's going to take a lot. I don't even know what it would take for me to actually care about him.
So if you think about this night of television, this 1 hour, Bull James versus Silas Young. So you know Silas is going to win, especially with Beer City Bruiser at ringside.
Yeah.
Then you have Cabana versus the boys in a handicap match where he just destroys them.
Man.
And then you have the Decade of Excellence tournament finals, which
you were there for this?
Yep, happened a month ago, and it was a fun moment.
And this was the end of it. This was the end of the tape.
This is the last set, yeah. So now we're waiting.
I wouldn't have cared. I would have been like, all right, I'm going to go outside for the next 40 minutes. I'll come back for the main event. I'm going to go get something to eat real quick.
I plead the fifth on what happened there. All right. So I think we covered everything this week.
Believe so.
All right. So just kind of like go into some plugs. Make sure you guys... You can check us out if you haven't already. You're on iTunes. We're on SoundCloud. Make sure you guys subscribe so you get all the episodes. Generally speaking, we come out on Saturdays, but every once in a while, a little bit early. So make sure you're subscribed so you can catch that. And please go over and leave us a review. 6 stars. I think iTunes is finally going to update that now that Meltzer has added that to a scale. So you guys should give us a 6-star review and make sure that you're subscribing. So if you want to send us emails directly, you can send it to runningwildpodcast@gmail.com. You can send us any comments, questions. We love doing trivia. We don't cheat. I literally leave the email new in the inbox until the show, and then we open it during the show. So we're totally on the up and up there. You can follow us on Twitter at runningwildlwos. You guys have actually been filling out some of our polls recently. The most recent poll was, who do you think is going to be the Universal Champion at the end of WrestleMania? The choices were Lesnar, Kevin Owens, Chris Jericho, and why am I forgetting the other one? I'll tell you guys right now.
The fact that you need to check this is just atrocious.
What do you mean? The fact that I can't remember the fourth choice? Because clearly,
it's the most obvious one.
Is it the most obvious one? Goldberg.
Yes.
And 47% of listeners actually are right now have said Brock Lesnar. So
I think that's the smart money. You know, if Goldberg beats Kevin Owens, then Brock Lesnar is going to beat Goldberg. So you're banking on basically Goldberg being the champ going in there, and I'm hopeful. I'll be the only one.
Just want to, thank everyone for voting.
What is the percentage on Kevin Owens?
So the breakdown is 47 for Lesnar, 25 for Owens, 17 for Goldberg, and 11 for Jericho.
All right.
I do love those people, actually. By the way, if you're listening and you voted, I love the people who vote for the choice that I put in there just because I need to put a fourth choice in sometimes. Because I'm obsessed with
this time choices. It actually made sense because those are the two matches.
Yeah, no, so... But I love people who vote for the random choice, kind of.
You never know, man.
You can follow me on Twitter at rich_LACONI, usually tweeting random stuff, sometimes my live, not so live WrestleMania watching, and random stuff like that. You can check us out at runningwildpodcast.com, and you can check out all of my writing on Ring of Honor and all this other stuff at pwponderings.com, rohworld.com, and last word on prowrestling.com. So, with all of that stuff out of the way, I just want to thank you guys once again for joining us. And don't forget that you've been listening to the podcast that is just too sweet.